This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
This podcast is a production of HeroesHearth Entertainment. Check out all of our other shows at HeroesHearth.com. Welcome, Hearthlings.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. What do you say? Are you ready to begin?
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 189 of Lords of the Storm, a Heroes of the Storm podcast. My name is Greg Gizmozord Parker, and I'm joined tonight, of course, by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multizord Ellis and Ryan TBKzord Reader. And on this week's episode, our announcement of an announcement that we announced last week has been announced. We talk some Blizzcon again, but this time it's okay because it's the Blizzcon hype episode. So of course we're going to do it. HGC Finals group stages start tomorrow, and we talk the newest warrior to enter the Nexus in this week's Hero of the Week. It is Mal'Ganis Week. But first, and most importantly, we have a guest joining us this week to help us get through this. She is a superstar in the Blizzard podcasting world. She has the most infectious personality, and you can't help to just be in a fantastic mood around her. She's one of my favorite human beings on the planet. It is Jules Scott, everyone. Jules, how are you doing?
It is my Lords of the Storm debut, and I could not be happier because I've worked with these gentlemen in like varieties of different things over the years. Gizmo and I have podcasted together dozens of times, and I am just so excited to be here, you guys. It's just, thank you so much for having me.
You are very welcome. I'm super stoked we're finally able to get you on here. If you asked me 5 years ago, whenever I started listening to Blizzard podcasts, Convert to Raid, The Instance, Torn Think Tank, if I would one day not only be doing podcasts with Jules Scott, but have Jules Scott on a show that I helped start, I would have told you you're crazy. But here we are. It's a crazy world out there.
You make me sound like I'm this thing that I am totally not.
You are a thing. Like I said, you're a Blizzard podcasting legend. But we're super excited to have you here. But we also have the other two here this evening. TBK, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderfully. I don't know, though. It sucks. The week feels like it's been going so slow because I got my vacation ready. Hotels booked, flights are booked. I probably won't pack until 5 hours before the flight leaves because I won't be able to sleep.
Yep.
It's just the waiting. It's just a waiting game. I'm ready for BlizzCon.
It's like when you're a kid waiting for Christmas. How like the last all the 20s in December just takes so long because you're like, oh, it's just around the corner. And this is the Christmas of my year. I'll be honest with you. It's replaced real Christmas.
Except
I understand real Christmas is still happening, but it doesn't matter.
Now we get to buy the presents for ourselves.
That's right.
So many presents. I bought myself some presents on the BlizzCon gear store this afternoon. So hopefully.
Are you going to tell us what you bought? Come on.
I bought,
seriously.
Of course, I got the poster. So that's my thing. I started out getting the T-shirts, but the graphics get old and stuff. I want something I can frame, have up on the wall. And then, of course, I got a HGC hat and a HGC Finals shirt. So
Nice. Oh, very nice.
yes. Did you guys get anything cool from the store? Or are you holding off? I think you said you were holding off, Jules.
Yes, I am waiting because the hoodie, the HGC hoodie is almost identical to the one from last year that just says it says HGC Finals on it 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know if it's the thing I should buy right now because I've got one that looks just like this. I'm kind of hoping that there's something new that they announced that's at BlizzCon, and then I just kind of like pop my phone open and just order it and have it sent to my house.
Okay.
That's kind of what I'll do.
I mean, so we can, and we're going to talk a little bit about BlizzCon tips upcoming as well when we get into that section. But normally, there's always secret gear for BlizzCon from the gear store, and that is usually revealed after the opening ceremony.
Yep.
So I usually always wait and kind of see till then, because like last year it was for Heroes the Twin Dragons gold Nexus symbol shirt that I really liked. So that's what I'm kind of holding out for.
Okay. And you can still get that stuff on the store, right? Like you don't have to go in the merch line.
Yeah, you can still get it on the store.
Yeah. Is there a point to going in the merch line other than if you just like 2-hour waits?
No.
Or you want to wear it that day.
You want it right then. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's
good point.
Instant gratification. I know we all have it, but yeah, I don't have that. I'm just like, oh, nope. 2 hours in the line. My feet hurt already. Forget it.
Fair enough. Well, I didn't forget about him. Multizord, he is here as well. Multi, how have you been doing this last week, and what have you been up to?
I've been talking a bunch anyway. It's cool. No, I've been hanging out, playing a lot of Arena and Hearthstone, because we've got the Hallow's End Arena going on with the dual class arena where you can play more than one class at the same time. So it's always a good time. But yeah, otherwise, I actually haven't been able to game as much this week just because BlizzCon's coming up, and I've got a lot of stuff I need to knock out before that. So including packing, which I did take Halloween off of work as well. So my thought is, like, I'm flying out that Thursday morning, but I'll have Halloween to, like, do my son's first Halloween type thing. By the way, we're doing a Harry Potter costume.
Nice.
My kid, like, if you put anything in his hand, he just waves it around. So the wand is going to work out pretty well. It's just going to sit there and kind of go like this.
He's going to cast a spell on accident.
Yeah, he's going to Expelliarmus himself. I guarantee it.
What's that smell? Oh, he Expelliarmus himself. I don't know. I pronounced that wrong.
I think you're on something.
Yeah, but for myself, it's been pretty nice. I have gotten some more heroes than I'm usually able to get during the week with my new job and stuff like that. So it's been fun. I finally broke into the Team League stuff earlier today, and then I was able to join T-Gank and Coffee for some Team League stuff, and Workhorse himself, the man, the myth, the legend. And we had some rough games, but we had some really good games as well. And I think I'm back to being an old Gold Daniel main. So
Gold Daniel.
Good old Gold Daniel.
That's his full name, don't you know?
Yeah.
I was not aware of his full name, and now I know.
Yes. Yeah. Not
he got it from that
he
tribe
didn't tell
that
everyone.
He wiped out back on Draenor. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, wait,
so
there's a tail.
Yeah, you're gonna get my cat for a little bit. Sorry, he has decided that I'm going to pet him now.
Hey,
So.
cat tails
like a cat.
on podcasts are that's what the people want.
Yeah,
They want cat sightings. It's like we need to print off little search cards for people to find, and cat tails like the bonus point.
Yep.
All right, so we have a lot to talk about tonight. Let's go ahead and hop on into the news. All right, first up, our announcement that was announced, and now we can talk about it. If you are watching us live, you know about the announcement because we are currently streaming from the HeroesHearth Twitch channel. If you are on our channel right now and wondering where we're at, well, we're there too because we're hosting. But heads up, we are going to be streaming over at twitch.tv/HeroesHearth on Wednesdays now. For the HeroesHearth Wednesdays, we'll be closing those out at the same time, 9 p.m. Central. We are super excited about this. It's pretty. I'm still a little bit of disbelief to be part of such a great organization. Of course, it's super fun to watch their team, North American team, who's currently #1, wishing them well at BlizzCon. But TBK, why don't you go ahead and let the people know what this little shindig is going to mean?
Sure. So for those of you who have been listening to us for a while, we've been doing this now for almost 4 years. 4 years in February, and it's been a crazy ride, and it's been a ton of fun. But honestly, we did this. We started without any backing at all, just a couple of friends who wanted to talk about Heroes. And as things progressed, we got a Patreon. People gave us money, which was super awesome. We were able to get equipment. We were able to go to BlizzCon and get interviews and start doing some more cool content. We did some stuff that some of you might remember called Lords of the Lane, which was our 2v2 tournament, and we held several of those. But there comes a point when we start reaching the end of the amount of content and the stuff that we can do on our own. And so for the past few months, I've been talking to Workhorse over on the HeroesHearth side. And as many of you know, I've been writing for HeroesHearth for the better part of a year now, doing interviews, articles, map concepts, all that fun stuff. And so we started kind of talking about expanding the Heroes content on their side, and it just seemed like a really good fit. So we were able to partner up with him, and I think this is going to be really good all around, because it's going to allow us to have access to more resources to do more Heroes content, which is really kind of what we want to do in the first place. And so I'm really, really excited about this, because, and honestly, if you haven't gone to HeroesHearth, it's amazing. You should go. It's not something I say lightly. It has really become, in the last year or so, the one-stop shop for most Heroes content. All the people I see on Reddit or Twitter or whatever, all the builds are now linked from HeroesHearth. They've got a ton of really awesome, well-known streamers now. They have a little esports team that's done pretty well this last season.
You can say that. Yes.
Yeah, they're gonna be at BlizzCon or something. So it's just it ended up working out to be a great fit. So I'm super excited for that going forward. Like Gizmo said, there's not going to be a lot that changes for us. The format of the show is going to stay relatively the same. We're going to be streaming now from the HeroesHearth channel Wednesday nights at 9 Central instead of Lord's channel. That's about it for the live viewers. And for those who are coming in new for this episode, as Gizmo was saying pre-show, this is going to be a little bit of an abnormal episode because we're covering BlizzCon. We always do a BlizzCon and hype episode the week before. And so I'm really excited to talk about that. We'll talk about some of the other games, but then we'll deep dive into what we want to see from Heroes as a whole, because boy, are there lots of thoughts on that. Lots of things up in the air, especially with new game director on the horizon.
Right.
So yeah, it's exciting. It's only good things. More Heroes content is never a bad thing. And it worked out perfectly that Jules was on tonight, and we actually had started talking about this before she was involved with the HeroesHearth stuff, because she actually works with the site as well. So Jules, do you want to talk a little bit about that real fast before we dive into the other stuff?
Sure. So my role at HeroesHearth is kind of an interesting thing, because I brought a podcast idea to Workhorse back a little bit ways in July. And it was me trying to enter the Heroes of the Storm podcasting scene, which I'd never done. And I've just been doing HGC content for shows like Convert to Raid and Nerf This, which is now E-League Report. And it was like this match made in heaven situation. And so I started working with HeroesHearth with the podcast, and slowly but surely, well, actually not very slowly, it's been only a few months, and now I am the operations director for Heroes Hearth. And so when TBK and the Lords team came in, I've been working on that project. So we've been working together to get this whole thing to happen together, which is great. And then it was this moment where it was like, hey, you're going to be on the show too, and then we were like, wait, when can we do this? Pre-BlizzCon, let's put you on Heroes Hearth Wednesdays. Like the last few months of everything feels very serendipitous. It feels very much like we've all just kind of fallen into this place that's perfect fit for everybody. Everybody's happy. And then we're going to go to BlizzCon. We're all going to be in our Heroes Hearth jerseys. And last year, like, Heroes Hearth didn't really exist this time of year. Like that to me blows my mind. The site existed. The team did not really. They just were entering the scene. Like, look at us now. Look at this. It's pretty amazing. And now
it's grown quick.
Yeah.
It's grown very quick, and it's growing even faster with the HeroesHearth Entertainment part. That sounder that you heard at the top of the show means that we are a podcast network or an entertainment network now. And wow, like what has happened? It's amazing. So on behalf of Heroes Hearth, I am thrilled to welcome all of you to our lovely site and to our network. And because I've known you guys forever, like we've been familiar with each other, worked with each other in different avenues, and now we're part of the same family.
Yes,
that's awesome. Thank you.
A huge shout out to everyone that's a part of Heroes Hearth. You guys have been super welcoming, and it was awesome to be able to jump in and play some games with some of you. And yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody at BlizzCon.
Yes.
So,
speaking of,
speaking of, so since next week is BlizzCon, there is not going to be a live show. I myself leave Wednesday morning, and then the other two, I believe, leave Thursday, but there's a lot to get done to prepare for BlizzCon. However, we will be doing a recording from BlizzCon that Friday night after all the announcements and stuff. So that won't be live, but we'll record it, and that will be put up Friday evening on all of our channels that you can get your podcast from. So you can look forward to that. And then we will be back up and running the week after BlizzCon. So keep that in mind. If you come here next Wednesday and you're like, where are the Lords of the Storm at? We're at BlizzCon. That's where we're at.
And spoiler alert, that subsequent week when we get back from BlizzCon, odds are we're going to be covering BlizzCon. What happened?
You think?
It's possible. I mean, I don't
feel
know
like they're
for
going to
sure.
announce some new stuff.
Like, I can't tell the
I don't
future because I'm not a psychic, but odds are.
Odds are. It's true. Speaking of BlizzCon things, though, Con Before the Storm is happening once again this year. If you're going to be at BlizzCon, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be a part of and go to, just to hang out. It is the Thursday, the night before opening ceremonies, and it is at the Anaheim Hilton. And World of Podcasts is also part of that. I believe this is World of Podcasts' fourth year?
No, it's fifth.
Sixth year.
Yeah.
Sixth year.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But yeah, so
And
that's
it's grown a ton too.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
it
is. I've had the pleasure of being on some of the podcast panels before. This year, again, myself and TBK and Jules will be a part of the Heroes of the Storm panel that is, again, Thursday, November 1st from 6:15 to 7:15 p.m. on the 4th floor of the Hilton. And then Multi, you will be a part of the Hearthstone panel. That'll be 7:30 to 8:30 on the 4th floor.
Just to change it up on you guys. I mean, we can't all be on the Heroes panel, right? That
Yeah,
would
no.
just, no.
Plus, Multi needs some outlet other than his little mini Hearthstone podcast to like
What do you
get
mean
all
little?
his
Okay.
all his Hearths. Well, it's a shorter podcast.
It is
right?
a shorter podcast.
It is a shorter
right.
podcast.
You
So if you've been getting teased by all of Multi's Hearthstone talk, you can go to that panel and get the full dose.
Yes.
Yep. And to get you a little history lesson in Lords of the Storm, I used to talk about Hearthstone for a good, 5 minutes at the start of every episode. And eventually these guys were like, you need to just go off in your own corner and find out what a new show.
Yeah.
And I did. And I'm very happy there.
Very good.
Thanks,
And now sometimes I miss the Hearthstone talks.
You should throw down.
Sometimes.
Just get back into it, man.
I can't. Also at Con Before the Storm, there are going to be some meet and greets happening. There is going to be a lot of people from Heroes Hearth there from 8 to 9 p.m. And that includes Jules and TBK. So you guys can come by and hang out with the Heroes Hearth fam. Be good times.
Just look for the brightly colored orange, red, and yellow jerseys. We're all going to be there.
They're very hard to miss.
It's really funny because I have so many shirts that I want to wear for BlizzCon because I have this giant collection of Heroes shirts. So I think I've decided that I'm just going to carry a bunch with me and just perform shirt changes between different things. So
in
like
public, please.
Probably not in public. Because they usually frown on that sort of thing. But like my wife made me this awesome custom Carbot Heroes shirt that I'll probably be wearing for the Heroes panel, and then I'll have my Heroes Hearth jersey on for the meet and greet after that. And then I've got several other Heroes shirts. I want to wear the cool little Alterac jersey at some point, and then I'm gonna have to wear whatever the cool Heroes shirt they announce on Friday. At least gosh.
How bad do you think it would smell if I kept this jersey on through all of BlizzCon? Like, given that I apply deodorant and take showers.
No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
It's like 2 days.
That is such a boy answer. It is not fine.
You'll be
Probably
fine.
not
Just
fine.
go by the CVS down the street, get some Febreze.
There you go.
It's good to
Freeze it
go.
off.
Yeah.
That will be included in the tips, BlizzCon tips.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
No hugs for Multizord. Yeah, that's right. That is right.
Well, if it's at the cost of hugs, I'm not doing it. So
That's all right. Multi, if you get any hugs, you'll know it's because somebody really wanted to hug you and meet you. So
there you go. Yeah, only the worthy will.
Yeah.
Perhaps. Yes.
All right. So now let's get into BlizzCon itself. Good old.
Oh, Gizmo, beforehand.
Yes.
Before we leave that, honestly, guys, we're super excited to see everybody at BlizzCon. If you see us, please come up and say hi because we really want to meet you. And this goes for pretty much any podcaster, any streamer, for the most part that you see. Just
right.
This is the time to meet people. This is the time when everyone's together. Like there's never a better opportunity, and we'd love to say hi. So come to the meet and greet panel. Catch us after the World of Podcasts thing. If you see us on the show floor or anything, come say hi. We would absolutely love to meet you.
For sure. And we're going to have, we still have some posters left, so I'll bring those if you guys want a poster. And I think we have some wristbands.
Yeah, we got some Lord wristbands still.
Yeah.
Woo!
So we'll have some goodies you can have. All right. So now the BlizzCon hype. This year's BlizzCon has been a little different, I think, than previous BlizzCons. This will be my 5th one. And typically, I feel like we kind of know what the BlizzCon is going to be focused around going into it. And the thought this year was going to be that it was going to be Diablo BlizzCon. And I don't know if you guys have been following the whole thing, but possibly not this year. The Diablo Twitter came out and made a post that seems to have been to kind of temper people's thoughts of a possible Diablo 4. They say that they know what the community is wanting and hoping for, and that they have a lot of projects in the works, and they will announce those when the time is right. So potentially, probably not a Diablo 4 this year, which brings the question, what do you guys think we're going to see in multi? I know your answer is a mobile game on Diablo.
Yeah, you're a terrible person.
Yeah. You're John Jagger's favorite person right now.
Yes. We had a nice chat about that on so we did that realm maintenance episode this past week. It's going to come out on the 30th actually. So check that out when it drops, but yeah, we had a nice chat about mobile gaming on there. John.
Okay. Fair enough. So kind of quickly, you know, what do we think our Diablo predictions are going to be then, for what they're going to announce? Jules?
I'm kind of lost on this one because they've already revealed Diablo on Switch, and they've tempered our expectations about no Diablo 4. So, I mean, there's a what's next Diablo panel, so there's gonna be something. Is it that they're gonna do another expansion like the Necromancer, that kind of thing, just to whet our appetite for whatever thing they are working on? You know, they say good things come to those who wait, and evil things take longer, I think is how they put it. So, I'm lost. I'm really lost, but I guess my overall answer to what do we think we're going to see at BlizzCon, I am stuck on whatever that weirdo property is that they're working on that is secret, that we've lost Dustin Browder to, we now lost Alan DeBeery to.
Right.
And I feel like this could be the year that we get a big old surprise that we haven't expected. That like Overwatch level announcement. I'm going to temper my expectations because I don't want to be disappointed, but with all of the stuff that they've been saying about like, don't be too excited because we're not going to give you this. There's not going to be a new Overwatch map. Jeff Kaplan said that, or not Jeff. Yeah, Jeff Kaplan said that today. That to me, that's the only thing that they would want to put into their. They want us to have that moment of like tears and gazing like glazed over looks and people like shocked. I mean, so that's kind of how I feel, is like we're being set up for something big. So mark my words.
I'm actually with you.
Yeah, I like that explanation.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you 100% because honestly, there's just enough blank space in the schedule, and there's a couple sections, I can't call it off the top of my head, but there's a couple sections on the floor that have some blank spaces as well, that there's just enough to where I think there could be something new coming here. Yeah. And honestly, like, if there is something new and they drop it on us and really surprise us this Friday or next Friday, they'll have done it better than they did the Overwatch year, because the problem with Overwatch was it was super obvious that something new was coming. Like, there were these big blank spots, and they had to have a ton of panel time and all these other things to discuss what Overwatch is and everything, naturally. But it was just, by the time the schedule came out and we saw how the floor was laid out and everything, we just knew that something huge was coming. We just didn't know what. And when that happened, I didn't actually physically go that year, but I watched that virtual ticket like a hawk. And I was kind of like, I mean, obviously I was super excited for Overwatch. I did a little podcast on it for a little bit of time there. But like, I don't know, there was something about, oh, there's something really cool, but we know that something cool is happening. That's not as awesome as if they just flat out just drop a bomb on us, like kind of like you're describing there. So I think that's totally possible. And I kind of think too that, like, because they don't have giant swaths of time and like entire stages set apart for it, I'm thinking that it might not be something that big, like in the realm of Overwatch, but it could be something smaller, or possibly something that Blizzard considers to be small, but then ends up blowing up and being a huge thing. Anyway, I mean, that's kind of the story of Hearthstone, is that Blizzard came out with this dinky little card game based on Warcraft. It's like, oh, but it's electronic instead of the physical Warcraft TCG. And then now it's like, it's its own esport genre and is like totally taken over that space, at least for the time being. So yeah, like I think they could do something like that, and it's still going to be something that just blows our minds. And it really could be something in the mobile space, guys, because a lot of those incubator projects are mobile. There's a lot of money in that. So yeah. But I'm not talking like Diablo themed Candy Crush. I'm talking like a real change the way you think about mobile game. I think of like Arena of Valor in this space, Hearthstone. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if they can pull that off, then I will give them the props they so deserve. But that will have to be a convince me, I think, from a mobile perspective. But there is, looking at the floor map, there is a decently large empty space next to the Diablo 3 demo and the Herodric Retreat area. That's right below the Mythic stage. So that at least tells me that there could be something going into there that's one of those not announced type things, but that we'll find out during the show. From a Diablo perspective, I think a lot of it's going to be, and I hope it's not. I think there's going to be a decent bit of it that's hyping the Diablo on Switch, which, yay, that's really cool. This is the first time you can actually play Diablo 3 offline, which is a pretty big deal. And so it's cool, portable way to play. There's also the rumors that of that Netflix Diablo show that were floating around. So I think this would be, in lieu of a Diablo cinematic, I would not be surprised if we get some sort of either extended trailer or something for this Diablo show that is supposed to come out like maybe next year or something like that. And we get because there's been a lot of rumors that it will be very like the Castlevania show, which I think that animation type would actually be super cool for Diablo. I could get excited about a Diablo show because there's a lot of great lore, and especially if it was a little more adult oriented animation, they could really make a pretty cool thing, I think.
Yeah, the Castlevania style animation is perfectly suited for it. Kind of a much darker, rougher anime, which is really
it's
cool.
Honestly almost the same style as like the Call of Kel'Thuzad trailer.
Yeah.
It's that Saturday morning cartoons feel of like darker, kind of gothic feel. It would work perfectly for Diablo.
Yeah.
No question.
So as much as I would love to be on the whole wagon of possibly seeing something new, like a new IP, I don't think we're going to get that, simply for the fact that while yes, it was kind of obvious we were going to get something new in the Overwatch year, they kind of have to have that blank space in the schedule to let us know that there's going to be something new, because again, this is a big event where there are, of course, like we'll be there covering it as media and stuff like that, but IGN, Polygon, those networks are there as well, and you can't just sneak an announcement somewhere without those big channels being there to be able to report on it. So as much as I don't want to say it, with the open floor space, I am feeling a possible Diablo mobile type thing.
Yes.
So we'll see.
Oh, it warmed my heart.
It's like you fall into the minions of hell.
I'm not yet. That's exactly what it's like.
I don't know why people are so against it, but that's fine.
I just don't like controls on a phone. Like the whole touch joystick thing. My hands are super calloused and stuff and don't work well on that.
Just don't have the touch.
I don't have the touch. So yeah, I really I don't know. Possible another character pack, but I think that might upset a lot of people just because Diablo's been kind of, I don't want to say stale. They're still, of course, doing the new seasons. Now they have theme seasons and stuff like that, and it's still a great game. Diablo's in my top 3 franchises of all time. I still go back and play Diablo 3, but
it's definitely much more in maintenance mode.
It is
right now.
So
I mean, you can tell.
We'll see.
I think though a character pack would be too little for the amount of hype that they've already built up for this. It also wouldn't make sense to have that Diablo What's Next panel right after the opening ceremony on the main stage if that's all they're doing. And I would say the same for, there's rumors going around about it being like the remastered versions of Diablos 1 and 2.
I would be okay with that.
I'd be okay with that too, but again, if it's just that, then it's still not that much hype. So I'm starting to think that it's going to be a mixture of these things. If they drop Diablo 1 and 2 remaster, things like Netflix show, and then maybe even either a character pack or an entirely new expansion for Diablo 3, then that really actually is a Diablo themed BlizzCon to me, because that's a lot of Diablo stuff.
That's fair. But we will have to see. They do have the very first slot in the schedule after the opening ceremony for the Diablo What's Next. So
and that's usually a telling thing. And the merchandise, the nice piece of merchandise in the gearbox was a nice Diablo figure too. So I feel like there is going to be, I feel like of all the announcements, it will probably be, or at least it feels like they're expecting it to be Diablo focused.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to a game here that has been one of Blizzard's bigger game in esports. I don't think any of us personally have ever been huge into it, mainly because I am god-awful at RTSs. I have tried and tried, and it's just not happening. But StarCraft. Are you guys expecting anything for StarCraft this year? We really haven't gotten anything big in the past couple of years. I think we got the campaigns. But ever since Legacy of the Void, it's been kind of, also in maintenance mode.
I could maybe see another mini campaign like they did with the Nova, little Nova series. But most likely, aside from that, we'll maybe see some co-op commanders. Okay. But I don't expect much from StarCraft this year.
StarCraft is another candidate for coming out with little side spin-off stuff like a mobile thing. So I think if we see anything really new and interesting out of StarCraft, it's going to be somewhere in that space. But yeah, I mean, they've already kind of gone back and made a lot of StarCraft 2 free to play and all these other things. So other than some additional content like you guys were hinting at, I don't know where else they can go with that right now. But yeah, Jules, what do you think?
I kind of agree right there. It's just, I don't really know. Aside of, trying to revitalize the franchise and we get like StarCraft 3, that would be the bombshell to kind of move it on to whatever the next generation of StarCraft would be. But I don't think there's going to be a focus this year. I don't see it. So I'm going to say we're going to get maybe some little goodies because there is some StarCraft, like they're throwing in some of the, we'll get to this later in the show, but the Twitch drops and there's StarCraft stuff incorporated in that. Plus they're promoting people watching StarCraft esports. So it's not like the game is going to be abandoned or they don't care. So I'm online with all of you on this.
Okay. Here's actually, this is Gizmo's first prediction that isn't going to actually happen. StarCraft, it's kind of, coasting. RTS, obviously a very big genre still. Diablo, waiting, maybe we're going to see a Diablo RTS announced.
Ooh.
Commanding the minions of hell or commanding the Nephilim.
Okay with that.
What?
I love RTS.
That's so bad.
Yeah,
I'll take a tactics-style turn-based RPG. Again, on mobile, that would work for me.
But, gosh, stop saying that.
We're gonna lose all these new Heroes Hearth
Oh my gosh,
people.
this freaking
Oops.
It's like the Beetlejuice. You say it too many times, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
All of our heads are gonna swing right to multi as soon as that announcement goes out, and he's gonna be sitting there with his arms crossed, going, "See, I told you."
I'm actually gonna bring a bag of popcorn. I'll just be sitting there, just popping it.
Jay Allen Brack's gonna say our next game on mobile, and we'll all just like slowly death stare multi as time stands still.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
All right. Overwatch. Let's do some Overwatch here. Multi, we'll start with you. Because you did the Overwatch show, the Cavalry, for a little bit. Obviously, we're not getting a map.
Right.
Actually, I guess it's worth talking about at the top of Overwatch, the new World Cup viewer that Papa Jeff mentioned yesterday.
It's actually really cool.
That is incredible. If you guys haven't heard about it, you are going to be able to. It's going to be in beta for the. What are they calling it? The World Cup.
Yes.
The Overwatch World Cup, to where you will actually be able to, from the Battle.net launcher, watch the World Cup in live or real time in the observer mode, to where you will have control over how you are watching those matches, whether it's from the observer, from third person, first person, things like that, which is incredible. And then on top of that, the semifinal and finals, you will be able to go back in replays and watch from observer mode, and also be able to control the speed at which you're watching. You can slow time down to try and figure out, how setups were done, how plays were made. You can speed through stuff, and I think it is incredible. it's a huge step for viewing in esports. I think CSGO may have done something like this before, but it could be huge. Unfortunately, I feel like the StarCraft engine that Heroes is on would never be able to handle that, but fingers crossed, maybe. Because that would be really cool to be able to go on and see some of these really big plays in the HGC and kind of go through them in slow-mo from different angles and views to see how they were set up and went about. So
yeah, for sure. No, I think it's super ambitious. I love that they're going about it. I think that the people who try to tune in this way live are going to be a little thrown off because they're going to learn how hard it actually is to spectate and follow the action in Overwatch. And honestly, like, they do such a good job on the actual broadcast that if you're wanting to just watch it, I would venture to say just go ahead and watch like Twitch or on your virtual ticket there. But what I think the beauty of it is, first of all, yeah, the replays, like you were talking about, being able to go back and analyze all the setup and that sort of thing. And then also, I could see people who are really interested in a particular player or even a particular like hero or role, and then just saying, all right, I know this guy's really good on McCree, so I'm just going to watch his McCree play and learn like every angle he takes, every approach, you know. So that's really cool for that. But as far as Overwatch in general, so yeah, if we're not getting a map, obviously we're getting a new hero. I don't think there's any question on that one. But as to what, I don't know. I mean, I've kind of fallen off the Overwatch wagon a little bit. But I know there's a bunch of heroes that have kind of been bounced around as possibilities. The more I think about it, the more I start to think about Athena, which is the computer program, kind of like Jarvis style. You know, you've seen it with Winston. She announces the, starts of games. There's actually an Athena. Here's an Athena announcement pack in Heroes of the Storm as well, if you hadn't seen that one. So with all that considered, I think it might be Athena. I'm going to throw that out there now.
I think it's going to be Jetpack Cat.
Jetpack Cat, which could be Athena. The Jetpack.
Oh, plot twist.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've always thought like what Overwatch could need though is an Abathur style hero, and Athena could be that. Like you're not playing a regular shooter, you're playing the map, you're doing some zoning things, you're setting up turrets, etc. There could be some cool stuff there.
Okay, that's cool. Jules, any predictions from you for Overwatch?
So I definitely think we're getting a new hero, and I don't follow the Overwatch lore enough to know what's been teased out there, who the specific person would be. But here is the hero style that I would love to see. And I've only seen this in one game in the past, and that was City of Heroes, when I used to play City of Heroes. And
shout out City of Heroes best.
Yes, and so
played for years.
If you ever played the Defender class, which was kind of the healer, protector, that kind of thing, there was a healer style called a kinetic healer. And the way that it worked is you would literally throw a heal to a player, and then the heal would radiate through their body and pool at their feet in an AoE around them on the floor. And so seeing that style, you're thinking about it being everybody being clumped up in the front lines. So you're talking the tanks and maybe the melee DPS. That would be one cool hero to be able to try to heal that way. But of course, if you're getting charged off the back line, it's not going to happen. That heal ain't going to hit. So I want to see something like that in a game like Overwatch that just turns out these really cool hero designs that you really may have not seen before. Like, I mean, Hammond, my goodness, that is something that is like, who thinks of that? Like, let's put a ball
right.
with the tether hook that you can swing and bash into people. Like, who thinks of that? So I think Overwatch could think of that.
Okay. TBK, anything from you?
Jetpack Cat. It's really funny.
You might not be wrong.
Yeah.
They did like an Art of Overwatch panel last year, and they revealed some of their crazy art concepts from the MMO. And all these different characters, and that was one of the standout ones. And now that they've done the like anthropomorphic hamster, why not a cat? Then I can have Jetpack Cat and Heroes, and that would just be ridiculous and super fun.
I can't wait for hamster Heroes. I'll throw that out there.
I want Reinhardt first.
Yeah.
You're spoiling some of my Heroes picks.
I know we're thinking similar. But no, I think besides the hero announcement, we will probably get another one of the patented Overwatch cinematics that they're so fond of. We got a Diva one not super long ago, but my guess is it probably won't be. I mean, it might be a cinematic for the new hero they reveal, but they do have been kind of showing a lot of the older characters and putting them into these big spots. We've seen the Diva one, we saw the May one last BlizzCon, I believe, and then the Reinhardt one, which was super awesome. So I'm assuming we'll get another like awesome lore for some 5-7 minute short for some character as well.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
I think it's safe to say that we could almost expect a short for every game now. Like they're just so good, like
just
across
about
all the games, and it's just a great way to announce something new. Like even just the Hanzo Alexstrasza from last year was awesome. Like yeah.
Well, apparently too, they have a new cinematic system, and this was back 2 years ago. The very first time they used it was actually the Heroes of the Storm Varian Ragnaros trailer. It was a new style, and because I remember talking to one of their cinematics guys after sometime that weekend, and he was saying, yeah, it's not quite like that hyper realistic Warcraft cinematics that they usually do, but it is a very high quality, if slightly stylized type of cinematic that is apparently much faster and much easier for them to create. And it feels like the last several cinematics have been made in that type of style. Like the Overwatch cinematics are kind of made a little bit in that style. The Heroes cinematics, the Varian Ragnaros, the Alexstrasza Hanzo were kind of made that in that style. So it wouldn't surprise me if we start, as the years ramp up, seeing more cinematic type stuff. And we've even seen cinematics released non-BlizzCon. Like we just saw a WoW cinematic released not too long ago, the Sorrowfang one. We saw
that one was
Diva,
crazy.
Yeah, we saw Diva cinematic not at BlizzCon, and usually those type of things were BlizzCon moments in the past.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to hopefully see more of that stuff. I would love to see one for almost every game. That would just make me super happy.
Speaking of the old soldier short from WoW, just really quick to throw this in there. Zappy Boy for Heroes. That's all I want to say.
Oh.
That's all I want to say.
Good
Zappy
call,
Boy.
Good call.
Well, you guys covered the hero and stuff. I'm hoping to see some more stuff for Overwatch League. Possible changes that they're making to the next season for that. Possible introduction of some more information on the 4 new teams that are going to be joining us. I know I saw the 6. The Toronto Defiance, I think I saw a Twitter post about that looks really cool. So while I didn't follow Overwatch League as much as I initially thought, just because time and HGC, of course, I do think it is really a big step for esports. So I still have high hopes for that.
You got the important parts, though. DJ Khaled, I mean, that's all you need.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, BlizzCon musical closer this year is, in fact, DJ Khaled. No.
No.
It still has not been announced.
Which is
Yeah,
surprising.
as of this recording, anyway. I think
And it's
gotta
never
be
been
soon,
this late.
obviously.
If I'm correct, it's never been announced this late before.
I don't remember.
I think you're right.
There was one that I feel like was announced like the week prior.
Yeah,
because it
that was
I
like
don't remember who it was.
it was like 2016.
That means
year
it's
or
either going to be
something.
super crappy or super amazing.
Well, and it just
Or,
depends like on who's on tour and who's like in town that week, that they can get over to do a show before they head on to their next spot. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but
Or, as one user suggested on Twitter, it's just going to be one big karaoke fest.
that'd be cool too. Or I'd be all right if ETC came back and played. We get Mike Morheim back on that bass.
He's got
That'd be
nothing
like
else
an
to do.
awesome. That'd be an awesome like going away party for him.
It would.
Yeah, it
And-
would.
And they
That'd
opened
be
up
actually.
for
I would
True.
totally
Yeah.
be down for that.
they opened up for Metallica and it was super fun. Let's move to Warcraft. Good old Warcraft. Battle for Azeroth. It's mixed feelings on that expansion right now. I personally am loving it. I'm not hardcore raiding for the first time at the beginning of an expansion. I'm super laid back. I can just do what I want to do. However, I'm not a fan of the Azerite system. I know a lot of people aren't. People miss the tiers. But we're going to be hearing some 8.1, I imagine, stuff on a new raid, and maybe some updates on the Azerite system. I don't know. Yeah. I know we just got the announcement for the Azerite vendor, where you can earn a currency. Yeah.
Lots of currencies coming in.
You guys, for sure. Anyone have any predictions for Warcraft? Possible. I mean, I imagine there's gonna be some lore stuff, so hopefully another cool cinematic along the lines of the.
It would kind of make sense to get an 8.1 cinematic. Yeah, sure. It just feels like they are really pushing the story this time around, and seeing as we got the Battle for Azeroth initial cinematic, and then we got that Saurfang cinematic, it almost makes me think we're going to get another one in each major patch cycle, which would be a first for Warcraft.
Yeah. If it's tied to the Siege of Zuldazar raid, I'm in, because there could be.
I'm sure it's going to look amazing.
Yeah.
If they do that, but my guess is it's going to be really focused on 8.1. In some ways, a little bit of damage control from some of the negative feedback, because they have been starting to address, like, as the PTR for 8.1 has been dropping a lot of the initial complaints that a lot of people were having with gear, with currency systems and all that sort of thing. And then most likely, kind of like the year before, we'll get that slight teaser for 8.2.
Okay. I think, though, I don't know, because like 2 years ago, 2016, when they were kind of in the same position with Legion, I expect it'll be mirroring that a little bit, in the sense that, like, we'll learn all we need to know about 8.1. I think we'll learn a little bit more about 8.2 than we think right now, like, because we know kind of the broad strokes of it. It's almost certainly going to be the one where we actually go in and fight Queen Azshara, would be my guess. And so they could dip into that a little bit. What I'm kind of worried about, honestly, is them telling us too much lore and story right now, because I felt like they did that a couple times in the past. I'm kind of worried that they're going to drop a bunch of 8.3 hints, like we're going to Nyalotha or something like that, right? Because in the past, for instance, the burning of Teldrassil, that was a BlizzCon announcement last year. We learned that the tree was going to burn. That was going to be one of the catalysts to the Battle for Azeroth. I kind of feel like if they hadn't shown us that then people wouldn't have been as upset when it just turned out that it was Sylvanas that did it, because, then they're sitting there going, oh, well, that's kind of the obvious one that we expected it to be. Because, like, can you imagine how it would have been if we didn't even know that it was going to burn until the Warbringer short for that came out with the War of the Thorns content? Like, that would have been awesome if, like, I was watching that and the first time I learned of it was when she just turns around and is like, burn it. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So I hope that they don't give us too much like that again. I want to experience the story as it unfolds in the game. I have similar concerns with again, going back 2 years, where they said, oh, and by the way, we're going to Argus. It's like, oh, but how much cooler would it have been if we'd held off on that note just a little bit longer? I don't know.
Okay. Jules, anything from you?
Not really, just because I'm not playing Warcraft anymore. So.
All right.
Yep, nothing there.
A lot of the Zords have fallen off too. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm still in, but you know what? You play a game that has a lot of Warcraft heroes in it, so
that's true. It's true.
Yeah, Heroes of the Storm is my Warcraft.
I know. Okay. I played Warcraft for 12 years, so yeah, it'll always be a part of my history.
Okay. Right. Almost to Heroes of the Storm. We got one more to cover here real quick. And Multi, I know you've probably been waiting for it. So I'll let you lead us off with Hearthstone. What are you expecting?
Well, I'm going to guess the theming of the expansion correctly here for you guys. Because at the beginning of the year, they gave us, Blizzard, again, gives us these little teaser images of what the next 3 expansions are going to look like. And all it is really just like an image, and there's kind of there's a gem in the center and some theming around it. If you haven't seen the image before, I could try to get you a link, of course. But anyway, so the first 2, Witchwood, Boomsday, check out just fine. It was pretty obvious that Boomsday was in the Netherstorm at least. But in this next one, it's kind of been the mystery the whole time. So the image is kind of like this. It's this teal sort of gemstone in the center of a like red rock border, and then down below it looks almost like a totem, kind of, in that there's some carvings into what appears to be either wood or something like that. I'm not sure, but I compared it against things like the Zandalari Troll's heritage armor and discovered that the color themes are actually pretty similar. So it's possible that we could actually have some sort of like Zandalari themed expansion. I don't know where they'd go with it from there, if it would be out of like the dive bar that's right off of the Great Seal or something like that. But yeah, I could totally see them doing a Zandalari thing. And when you hear that, you start to think, oh, well, but that's happening in World of Warcraft right now. Typically in the past, Hearthstone expansions have either harkened back to something in the past or something like that. But there's actually one exception to that rule too. So the One Night in Karazhan expansion came out roughly like within a couple months of the Karazhan coming back out in WoW. I mean, it's an older raid for sure, but you know, they've done that in the past where they've had Hearthstone kind of mirror World of Warcraft, and they even in that WoW Karazhan remake, there were a couple of Hearthstone references. Like you had some mobs that were casting Firelands Portal and that kind of thing. So I could totally see like a full-on Loa themed where you've got like, you know, Gonk and Razan and all these other Loas, and I mean, it could just be. That's my prediction.
Okay.
Zandalari Trolls.
I like it. Fair enough. I have no predictions for Hearthstone because I've been out for about 3 or 4 expansions now. I would say tournament mode, but we know how that turned out. Rip tournament mode. The thing that was possibly going to bring me back. Jules, are you playing Hearthstone at all?
I am not. I am only playing HOTS right now, so that...
Yes.
That's the correct answer.
That's correct. TBK, do you have any?
I think they're going to have another cinematic. It's going to involve a girl who has hypothermia and has a fever dream at an inn with dancing mice and orcs and stuff.
Possibly a rocket cat.
Possibly a rocket cat. Actually, I would say almost assuredly a rocket cat. I think they're going to find a way to sneak rocket jetpack cat into all the cinematics. And so that's going to be like the Easter egg.
Okay.
Overwatch is going to go first. They're going to be like, Jetpack Cat, and then they're going to show all the other cinematics for all the other games, and someone's just going to be watching, and all of a sudden you'll just hear someone yell, Jetpack Cat! And it's just going to be in like the corner or something, or it's just going to be purring in the inn with, you know, the little jetpack just kind of just sitting on it.
Doing what a jetpack cat
just
does.
Just kind of fly by in the Heroes teaser, just in a big action battle where you're sure to miss it. And then the Diablo thing, they're going to be like Tristram, and it's going to be like a jetpack cat.
Okay.
I really hope you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see on that one. Okay, now the time we have been waiting for. Heroes of the Storm BlizzCon this year. What are we expecting to see here? I think we all agree on at least one hero announcement. I think most of us are kind of leaning towards 2. How many heroes are you thinking we might hear about at BlizzCon, Jules?
2.
2?
Yeah, because it's been kind of that trend, right? We just got Mal'Ganis. They're going to give us a preview cinematic and just loop them in there. And so, you know, chat room is saying Reinhardt. I think Reinhardt is a really good choice. But I'm actually going to go with something that Ro from Realm Maintenance also came up with me. Leroy Jenkins.
Okay, yeah. That's a very BlizzCon announcement.
They haven't done a crazy wacky hero for quite
for
a while. Not since Cho'Gall.
Right?
Nope.
Really.
Yeah.
And so we are definitely overdue for a very HOTS only unique hero, and that would certainly be a really good option.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no idea what Leroy would be. Probably some kind of whatever specialist is becoming in the new roles. But, you know, kind of a frenzy character, I would say. You know, like you got to go full YOLO on Leroy. So there, you know,
Right.
I don't know.
He
I
has to
don't
be able
know.
to charge recklessly.
He's got to be able to
does.
summon a bunch of whelp eggs that he can then run over to, I don't know, create more minions or something.
Yeah. Okay, so I have marked it on. I've said it in posterity for this show. If we get Leroy Jenkins as the announcement, I want you guys to fill my Twitter feed with OMGs because
Yeah.
I want to see the OMG reaction from the community.
I'd say there's probably about a 33.333% repeating chance that we might get Leroy Jenkins at BlizzCon.
Was that your number crunch?
Yeah. I don't know if that was remember if that's the actual number.
But
I think it might have been 60.
That was roughly accurate.
If Leroy Jenkins is not announced, that's minus 50 DKP.
Fair enough.
That's true. Well, you know, if we don't get him, at least we got chicken.
That's right.
Okay, so that I would love to see that. With this being a Diablo themed BlizzCon, at least we're still kind of expecting that. I think a lot of people are thinking possible Diablo hero announced. TBK, I know you are a big fan of seeing Imperius enter the game.
Okay, so Heroes. Imperius. It was really funny because the Blizzard launcher trolled me the other day because I popped it open to the hero side and I see Imperius in the little slot next to all my friends list, and I was just like, what is this? And then it was just like on the Switch, and I was like, oh crap. So wasn't quite what I was hoping for, but I think Imperius is a very strong possibility this BlizzCon. I expect with the Diablo theme to get, and I'm actually thinking 3 heroes.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 3 heroes.
Down 3, yeah.
I think we're gonna get 2 regular ones and a wacky one this time around.
Done that in the past.
Just because it has been so long since they announced a wacky type hero. I feel like, and BlizzCon would be such a good place to unveil like that, the Overmind or Leroy Jenkins or, you know, someone like that. But I think Imperius is a high possibility. One of the things I've been kind of championing, at least for the first part of the year, was a Druid.
Okay.
I think a Druid could be really interesting.
There's possibility for a Diablo 2 Druid.
Yeah, there's a possibility for a Diablo 2 Druid. A Feral Druid. I would love to see what they could do with a Feral Druid in Heroes. The whole damage cat bear type aspect to it could be really, really interesting depending on how they made that kit out. And then, of course, I'm going to say, and I have been saying it for a long time, I think we're going to get Orphea. I think we will get the very first Nexus born hero, and I think it's going to be Orphea, and I think it's going to be incredible, and I want it so much.
And it could tie in with a lore-focused cinematic.
Okay.
Yeah, and
you
that's
could be onto something.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this on several shows before. I feel very strongly that we will get a like 5 to 7 minute lore focused cinematic with all the lore they've been kind of putting out, and we talked about it, and I say all the lore, it's all the lore compared to other years when there has been no lore. It's not as much lore as I would have liked to see, but they did say this was the year of lore, and they're just getting started with it. So I'm really, really hoping that we get a cinematic, and it's this culmination of some of the comic stuff we've seen. We get because that's the funnest part about watching hero cinematics, is seeing all the heroes from all these different franchises in the same cinematic together, because that never happens anywhere else. And so I would love to see that, and then that be kind of the catalyst and the show off of what Orphea can do. They'll fight the Raven Lord. They'll maybe avenge the Queen of Thorns. You could do some really, really cool stuff with the dark nexus and have the fight be on any of the different realms. I think that would just be one of like the highlights of BlizzCon, just for being what it is.
And
well, I think they've built up to just that. But yeah, go ahead, Gizmo.
I was gonna say I'm sure we'll get some more lore, but I'm hoping we get a lot so we can play this some more.
Stay a while and listen.
Still my favorite sounder, and I know that was not the one you sent us to use, but it's great.
So I was recording a new sounder for our segment, Lores of the Storm, and yeah, my son got in the way, threw down his own little bit there. So there you go.
It's my favorite sounder ever. So
I should have never sent it to you.
we'll
You should have known.
some more.
Oh no, I knew.
You can't. Yeah, when I have buttons, I just
use the real one.
I just like to use them. So, but yes, lore stuff, of course. Heroes. What are you thinking that we could possibly see? What are you leaning towards?
So the wacky one that I want to throw out there, as always, as I've done, I think every other year past, is Hearth Stonebrew, the Innkeeper from Hearthstone, because I still feel like Heroes horribly underrepresents Hearthstone as a game, other than the fact that a lot of the actual heroes are in there. They're actually more their representation as they are in Warcraft, World of Warcraft, etc. So, so Hearthstone Brew would be straight Hearthstone. And I've always just had this dream of, you don't even really have abilities in the strictest sense. You drag and drop cards onto the board and then micro them from there, using kind of either the same like TLV technology, that sort of thing, or even leaning on the StarCraft engine even more so to be able to control like a little army of these guys. So I don't know. That's my wacky one. I think Reinhardt's a really good pick because it seems like, and we even saw some people in chat here just chime in with Reinhardt, and that's kind of what I was thinking as well. A tank would be really good. I think we're a little overdue on an Overwatch hero, right? Like, when was the last Overwatch hero announced Heroes?
Was it Hanzo or Ana?
I think Hanzo.
Yeah, I think Hanzo.
Was it really Hanzo? A year?
Yeah.
Without Overwatch? With Overwatch League being the hype that it is? It's like almost hard to believe. So I think Overwatch hero is almost for sure. I'd prefer Reinhardt. I could see Reaper too, just because he's, I don't know, in BlizzCon's past, there's been one hero that's kind of the dark one, you know, like Greymane and Sylvanas, and now it could be Reaper, just, you know, so I could see them going that route too. But yeah, and then honestly, if you're looking for another dark and interesting character, this could honestly be the year for Deathwing. Like, I know that's kind of the meme right now, but it's not impossible. He could switch in and out of his human form. Hopefully he spends more uptime as a dragon than Alexstrasza does. But I don't think I have any concerns about the model size or anything like that. Just kind of like what you did with Ragnaros and others. Just do it.
I never want to expect Deathwing, so that when it actually happens, I can legitimately freak out as much as should be freaked out about that.
Fair point.
See, I hope...
I agree with Reinhardt, though. I think he would probably be the next Overwatch hero I'd want to see.
He would be great. But whenever they announce Deathwing, I'm hoping they kind of start teasing another character, with making us think it's going to be someone, and then they just fire on the ground, and the achievement pops up for dying to Deathwing. Like in the WoW days, what was that? Mist of Pandaria, I believe. No,
Cataclysm.
Yeah, that makes sense. You know,
he caused the
that makes sense. That he gets announced that way, but yeah, I could see if we get another Overwatch one. I definitely want it to be Reinhardt. I think, you know, we've been really wanting a main tank. Mal'Ganis is looking like a main tank. But I think Reinhardt would be pretty hard to make an off tank just from the kit in Overwatch. So that would be really nice to see. But yeah, I'm kind of along the Orphea lines as well, and then probably Imperius, because we just got Mephisto. So getting another Demon Lord might be a little soon, so they might switch it to the Angel side, which are always cool.
Yeah. Another thing about Reinhardt, too, imagine the hype if during the announcement section of the opening ceremony for Heroes, that's when we get Darren DePaul. He comes out to, like, do his whole Reinhardt voice of, like, pushing the payload or something. I can't do a great impression.
I mean, he's going to be everywhere.
He's going to be everywhere, but what if he... You know, you'd expect him to be there in the Overwatch arena with the Overwatch announcements, whatever they are, but maybe not. Maybe he'll be with the Heroes team.
All right, cool. Well, let's see what you guys are thinking as far as systems updates or things we will hear at BlizzCon. I know we kind of asked in our Discord and stuff for people's opinions, and kind of one of the overarching themes from answer we have gotten has been, you know, not too much as far as system announcements, because these previous BlizzCons, it seems like we've gotten a ton of announcements of updates they're wanting to make, things they're wanting to put in the game, and it just hasn't happened. They either took a super long time or they just kind of fell off and disappeared. Things like clans, hero swaps. Me personally, and I know TBK, you and I were kind of talking about the other night, I'm looking for, you know, limited information on system stuff, but a roadmap that is, you know, set up to happen within the next 6 months. I think if we go beyond 6 months, we run the risk of running into, you know, clans and team or player swaps and things like that. But as far as what specifically you would like to see, whether that's, you know, MMR updates, ranked updates, what are you guys looking forward to the most, Jules?
We need an update on the performance-based matchmaking situation.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
Because that has been something that, I mean, go to Reddit anytime and people are just complaining about the terrible matchmaking and why is this way and why is this person in master level when they've only played X number of games and I've played this many, and it's, you know, there's just so much that needs to be clarified because the attempt was there and it didn't go very well. So, and it's been really quiet on that front. Like they just haven't said anything. And I think it was it July when they were like, hey, we're going to try this. And then they didn't, then they did. And then they pulled it back.
Yeah. They said they were going to kind of turn it on as far as like, you could see what it would be doing. Like at the score screen and stuff, but it wasn't actually going to be implemented.
Be on.
And that never happened.
Never materialized.
I remember reading the update about it at when I was traveling to Heroes of the Dorm, and that was May, and then, you know, that it was coming, and then it didn't go so well. So anyway, that I think we need to get that information, and then the other part that we really kind of need some more information on, and I really do think at this point it's needed, is we need to be able to see our MMRs.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be able to see it. I've been asking for this for you know, since 2015. Give us the option to reset our MMR, please. Please. I cannot stress this enough, because when I was a newbie player, I sucked. And I just and then I would be playing with a whole bunch of people who were new, and as I got better, I would still be playing with people who are new, and my MMR is terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm not the level of my MMR anymore, and it's so hard to get out of it. But I keep getting matched with people who are at that MMR level, and it's nearly impossible to change it, it feels like. And I get frustrated, and I stop playing competitive mode because I can't. It's so frustrating. So please let us, or just reset them across the board. Please,
so
do that.
My thing with the MMR, I get them not wanting to reset it, because then you could, while you're trying to set your new MMR, you could be getting matched up against Masters, you could be getting matched up against Bronze, so it could just be a big hodgepodge, therefore you not get your actual MMR. My idea that I have been saying, this is the third year now when it comes to MMR reset, and I still think it would work if they can do it somehow, is having an adjusting MMR that is your previous 6 months of play, or with a minimum of a certain amount of games. So if you haven't played very often, then it goes back further than 6 months. But a decay that drops off after that 6 months, that way it gives your most up-to-date, accurate MMR based on how you're playing. Because then if you step away, and you come back and start playing again, eventually it's going to catch up and reset your MMR to about where it should be, instead of you come back and, you were a diamond player, but you haven't played in who knows how long, and then you come back and you don't know what the meta is, you don't know the new maps, you don't know the new heroes, and the matchups are rough. So that's kind of where I've landed on that. The performance-based matchmaking I was huge on and really wanting. I'm kind of scared that it has fallen off and just they haven't been able to fix it. It may have been scrapped. I hope that's not the case, but that's kind of my fear at this point. And then TBK, I know you and I were also talking about Hero League and Team League. Team League seems to be working really well right now with the solos being able to queue up for that. So potentially them just getting rid of Hero League and then having two different rankings for ranked, whether you're queuing up solo or queuing up in a group. But Team League, from what I have seen so far, has been better than it has been since Team League has been a thing. But Hero League really seems to be suffering for it right now. So I don't know if there's a way they can balance those two things out.
It's a team-based game,
Mm-hmm.
and I think Blizzard just needs to embrace that. They just need to embrace the fact that it is not League of Legends, it's not Dota, where one person can hard carry for other people. It can happen occasionally, but it's not going to happen near the rate it does in some of the other games. The game was designed to be team-based. You can see it all over the place. I mean, it's Team XP, for goodness sake. You all level together. It's very much keep all the heroes similar across the board for each team. So I think, and just from what I've seen, I think it would be very smart of them to combine the queues, and then promote that this is a game that should be played or is best played as a team. You can have a leaderboard for solos in Team League, and if you queue solo, it can try to weight you to play against 9 other solo people, but it's not going to be guaranteed, and you may fill in for the team, and then you could have the 2 leaderboards, and honestly, that would take care of a lot of the issues people would have, and I think the game would end up being a lot better for it in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the separate leaderboard sells me, honestly, because then it still caters to the folks who truly just want to queue alone. Like there is a place for that, and you can do that in Team League now. So yeah, I think with the right amount of waiting between, like, okay, if I queue solo, I have a much higher chance of getting in with at least as many solo queuers as possible, and then scoring that differently on a different board could, honestly work for me.
And even if that's not like the end all be all of what ranked play ends up being, I think it's a good transition area to have it in to get more people playing ranked. So I do like that idea. What about swaps? Are you guys hopeful on hearing anything about hero swaps coming in now that we have the 3rd ban in?
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, it's the next step. Right?
Yeah, it's the whole idea originally was to put it in custom games to test it. I think the testing period is over, and there's a thumbs up from most everybody. So at the very, very least, let's get it in Team League.
Yeah. So could this be another thing like happened with the 3rd bans after BlizzCon? This gets announced at BlizzCon, goes live after BlizzCon, and then implemented into, well, I guess HGC, it doesn't really matter at this point, and it really wouldn't be a huge deal if you get into, they go over to just Team League, because then pick order doesn't happen, so.
Right, yeah, I was going to say, it's not as big a deal in Team League as it is in, like, Hero League or Unranked Draft, but it still would just be nice. I mean, You know, sometimes honestly, maybe it's my MMR speaking here, but you get in a team league lobby and the communication just doesn't go great, and someone just grabs the hero that you were shooting for, and then they say, "Oh yeah, sorry man," and there's no way to swap that out now, so you could do it if you had swaps.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm hopeful.
Fair enough. Well, is there anything else that you guys think or excited that we might hear concerning Heroes?
There's always the chance for it to be more community focused and actually start to announce things like clans, guilds, however you want to call them. There's a possibility for that. Can never truly rule it out. So that's the only other thing I can think of in terms of like a major systemic change that we could see.
I mean,
we talked
about it last week too, and we could potentially see an update to the commendation system.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
I mean,
Yeah,
Overwatch got a huge update to this. What was it? What now? Like 4 or 6 months ago, something like that. Heroes is a game that would hugely benefit from something like that. So I would be a little bit surprised if they announced it, but not completely, because I think that is something that Heroes could very much use and very much benefit from, and it's something that has been tossed around in AMAs and whatnot as something they want to update. So that if there was one big system change, because I think if we combine the queues, yeah, that's a fairly big system change. We're already in the first steps of it with this solo queue team league thing, and it seems to have gone pretty well. Performance-based matchmaking, I mean, that's just been on the burner so long that you can't really hype that anymore. It's just like it's in now. Great. That's good. But I think a new commendation system or something like that is something you could potentially really hype up and make a big deal out of.
And we did have a really good conversation on that last week. So if you're a new listener and that's something that intrigues you, if you've been wondering as well, I definitely encourage going back and giving that a listen. I think it's probably like somewhere in the middle of the episode, but we have our show notes, so you can take a look at that to kind of figure out where it's at. But yeah, otherwise TBK and I will start arguing about it again. We go another 15 minutes.
And we got Melganis to talk about.
Yeah,
that's true. There is one more thing that is potential. We have technically only gotten one new map this year. Yes, we got Hanamura Temple. I don't know if that counts as like the second map for the year, seeing as it's just, I mean, it's a pretty big rework of Hanamura, but at the same time,
with Haunted Mines in the past.
Yeah, they did that with Haunted Mines in the past. So I feel like there is potential we could see a map announcement as well out of BlizzCon.
Maybe. I mean, we got the reworked Garden of Terror too. So, you know, those are, they've clearly been working on maps, but it's been reworks, and now Haunted Mines is gone. So there's something either happening there or not. But map, maybe? Yeah. I don't know.
I would be I would be okay with the map announcement. I don't think it's something I would be super hyped on. I guess it would just depend on what it is, but we have a lot of maps right now. Like, I guess if they did that, they would need to talk about like what their plans are as far as future maps.
Which I actually
kind of
hope they do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the Haunted Mines removal. That kind of, to me at least, signals something behind the scenes. I think that would be a great question to ask in the Q&A. Is Haunted Mines actually going away to get reworked, or is it actually being retired as the first legitimate Heroes map that is getting retired?
Right.
Not sure. I was just going to say, it still feels a little soon after Alterac Pass to have a new map. To me, I don't know. Maybe it's just a gut feeling, but I haven't mapped it out in terms of months or anything. But it seems like it still kind of feels like we've still got a fairly fresh new one. It's not to say that we won't get one. But the one last thing I want to cover on Heroes of the Storm, PvE content.
Oh, I was just about to say that.
Could we see something like we saw in 2016 where people line up to... Now, that was a brawl where people were lining up and trying out the new Blackheart's Bay brawl. But could there be something like that for a PvE content piece? In my mind, cool idea would be an actual 10-man team. So both teams are fighting against one boss, perhaps. Like Ragnaros or someone would make sense. I don't know, something like that. And the dream for me would be to have that running on the floor of BlizzCon, and maybe a demo for people at home too, and actually have a BlizzCon leaderboard for times. So
That'd be really
people
cool.
would form teams at BlizzCon, get together, run through, and like try to make the leaderboard. So
yeah, and with it,
I honestly, oh, go ahead, Greg.
I would say with it being a potential Diablo BlizzCon, we could do that Greater Rift PvE.
Yeah.
Similar to the Zerg one, we're actually pushing Greater Rift, so that could be a leaderboard type thing as well.
I think Heroes is ripe for PvE content. Like all the PvE events they've done have been super interesting and honestly really fun to play in their brawl form. I would love to see more of that kind of stuff come down the pipe, either in the form of brawls or potentially something else. I mean, and then this is kind of going off of it, Multi. I was thinking, PvE content is kind of a moonshot almost idea, but since we're just talking about it, if we want to be really moonshot, Heroes of the Storm campaign mode announced.
An entire mode, yeah.
Based on the lore.
And it's part of Heroes 3.0. I'm continuing to shoot the moon.
Yeah, why not? Let's just, yeah. I think Heroes would be super fun for a campaign mode, especially a co-op campaign.
Yeah, teams for sure.
Yeah, teams. I mean, you could do some really cool story. I mean, you see it in StarCraft. It works in StarCraft. Could work in Heroes. It's a similar engine. They could do similar story, real kind of RTS type stuff. But you're controlling just the single unit instead of an army. And you could probably, and all the PvE stuff they've done so far, the bosses have had some interesting mechanics. You've had to, especially on the heroic of some of those PvE brawls, you really had to work together to keep people alive, to dodge stuff, to avoid attacks. So I think they could be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh yeah,
and it could be a good way to introduce new people into Heroes of the Storm that aren't much into the PvP, but kind of get their foot in the door with that campaign stuff. So I could see it. Jules, any other exciting things for Heroes?
I think that we've come up with a whole lot, and so yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, and again, it's as exciting as BlizzCon is, and and everything. I think we're kind of wanting to limit the announcements they make at BlizzCon, so that we know they're really working on those things. So we'll see. I guess it's more than a week, just over a week now, and we will find out. Let's go ahead and move on into the HGC because we have group stages for finals starting tomorrow. All right, TBK, take it away.
Yes, we get HGC back tomorrow. I'm so excited. It's about time. It's felt so long.
High stakes HGC.
High stakes HGC. So before we get into that, as Jules alluded to earlier, there is something cool coming back, and that is Twitch drops. So during opening week, starting tomorrow, and during BlizzCon, guaranteed drops for 4 hours of viewing either Heroes of the Storm or StarCraft 2. But of course, you'll want to be watching Heroes. Fans who watch Heroes of the Storm for a total of 4 hours during BlizzCon opening week from October 25th to the 28th, and or BlizzCon on the 2nd and 3rd will receive one rare loot chest in Heroes of the Storm and an Alarak portrait in StarCraft 2. There's also guaranteed drops for 8 and 12 hours of viewing, with 8 hours being the Cheery Vikings portrait in Heroes of the Storm and 12 hours being the Cheery Vikings spray. And these are just like super cute Vikings pictures. So yeah. Also, during the live broadcast of the HGC finals at the opening week and at BlizzCon, 500 common loot chests will be awarded randomly to viewers each hour. And on top of that, heroic account unlocks, which will unlock every hero up to Mal'Ganis, will be granted to 3 lucky viewers each broadcast day.
That's cool.
So to win one of those, you have to have been tuned in for at least an hour.
Yep.
During the broadcast times.
Yep. It's wild that these...
Super cool.
Yeah, that account unlock, like I have never seen anybody win one of those, but they've done them in the past. And holy crap, that's a huge prize.
Oh, yeah. Just remember to actually link your Twitch account to your Battle.net account.
Yes.
Yes. If you haven't done that yet, you could be missing out.
Heroes Esports did release the patch schedule, and I may have mentioned it last week. The HGC finals will be played on the Mal'Ganis patch without Mal'Ganis. So sorry, no Mal'Ganis for BlizzCon. He probably would have been banned out the entire time anyway, so we never would have gotten to see him. We'll have to wait until Phase 1 of 2019 to see some Mal'Ganis. But it does include that really big balance patch that happened a few weeks ago. So that should shake things up a little bit. I'm really excited to see what's going on, especially because we're seeing a lot of Mephisto. So it'll be interesting to see some of him. And the last few weeks, especially on the NA side, there have been a host of different heroes picked. So I'm really hoping we see a large variety during the actual BlizzCon itself. For those that want to watch, it starts tomorrow, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time. We will get our first game, Luna Meow versus Tempo Storm. And then we have, and this is, I still haven't seen how this is going to work. We've got a few sets of games that are going to be aired or playing at the same time.
Right.
So I don't know if there's going to be a secondary stream or if one of the pair is just going to be off stream. As far as I know, I haven't heard either way.
It has not been officially announced anywhere, so we don't know. I'm really hopeful that we'll get the ability to at least see both games if we want to see them. But I don't know. I mean, they've got enough casters that they could possibly do a 2-caster, like a 2-stream, 2-casted thing. So, yeah, I mean, it would be very, very disappointing if we did not have the ability to at least view the second match while the first one was on the main feed. That would stink.
Yeah. I could see them doing something like, if one finishes earlier than the other, the one that was streaming, they cut to the other one maybe to finish it out. They do the lot for Hearthstone tournaments that run Swiss, for instance. So I don't know. Mm-hmm.
I hope we see them all.
Yeah,
I hope we see
it is, but I mean, it's something to watch in what would otherwise just be commentary downtime. So
no, I mean, like it's weird that this is. It's been set up this way, and there hasn't been anything said about it one way or the other.
Yeah, because it hasn't been done this way for quite some time in terms of having overlapping matches. And like for mid-season brawl, the group stages were every single group stage was casted.
Mm-hmm.
So this is interesting for sure.
Yeah. But like I said, the game started 11 a.m. and it's going to kick off Luna Meow versus Tempo Storm and run all the way until 7:15, where the last set will start. And these are best of 2s because this is kind of the group bracket where every team is pretty much going to play against every team in their bracket for the most part. So we have all the big teams playing, some of them twice on Thursday. Tempo Storm is going to get two games. HeroesHearth plays Mind Freak at 3. Dignitas and Leftovers play each other at 1:45. That's going to be a big one. Mm-hmm. And then Gen G versus Tempo Storm at 4:30. That will be that's going to be a really big one because that's going to be the first test of NA versus the Korean overlords. So that'll be really, really interesting. And then Friday, our third game at 12:15, we get to see HeroesHearth face Leftovers. which will be our first NA versus EU match. So that should be a really interesting one to catch as well. And then, oh man, they got everything on Friday. Heroes Hearth is playing Team Dignitas at 4:30, and Tempo Storm's playing Team Liquid at 7:15. So lots of really big games. Make sure to check these out, and remember, after it's going to run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then the bottom 2 teams from each bracket of 6 will be dropped and won't even see play at BlizzCon. So lots at stake.
It's
I'm hoping all the Western teams, at the very least, avoid the bracket round robin elimination.
Yeah, I can't tell which group's going to be tougher for our team to get out. I'm wanting to say,
I think Group B's tougher.
yeah, with
It looks a little like it.
Yeah,
Dig and
I'm
leftovers.
calling that one. Yeah, I'm calling that one the Group of Death.
They don't have Gen G though, so.
Yeah, well, but if they had Gen G, man, that would be.
Oh, it'd be too much.
That'd be just too much.
So,
yeah, but I think Group B's tougher.
but if anyone can do it, it's our boys at Heroes Hearth. They can get out of there.
I think looking at the groups, I think there's a pretty good chance we'll see both the NA teams and the 3 EU teams make it out. And we want them to.
Yes, we do.
We need every opportunity we can for a Western team to win this thing.
Yeah, been close.
I'm excited
close.
though. I'm gonna have a second screen up all day tomorrow, watching this stuff.
I
It's
wish
gonna
I
be good.
could.
I wish I could too.
I
Maybe I'll
wish I
sneak
could.
it. I could do it on my phone. Ooh, I'll do it mobile. There you go.
Yeah, sneak it so you can get the drop. So you can get your 4 hours in to get your drops.
There's an
Correct
idea
way to
right
use
there.
mobile.
I'll be driving, so I can't.
Aww.
I might be able to. So I talked about this. Granted, this isn't going to be like a cast for audio listeners, but I'll probably turn it on so I can at least listen to it.
Yeah,
That's good.
See what's going on.
good idea.
Yeah, super stoked for that, and I cannot wait to be watching the finals live again, because Heroes HGC Live is unlike any other esport, I think. So
True that.
we are the hypest of the hype at BlizzCon. It's all you guys.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we still have a little bit left to do this week. We got our hero of the week, Mal'Ganis. So for those just joining us, we do a hero of the week, typically the week after a new hero hits the live servers, and then we'll also occasionally revisit heroes who have had a rework, although the time for that is kind of just varied. But the whole point of the hero of the week is to kind of talk over the hero, go through a build that may or may not be the current popular build. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It's really meant to be, a build for somebody who's looking to step into that hero, who's maybe unsure, and make an easy build that's accessible, and kind of help you get into that. So, without further ado,
Hero of the Week.
I still hate that sounder, but you guys make me
It's the
keep
best
it.
one.
It's the best one.
It's the best one. Now, Jules, are you still up for this? You good to go? I know
Yeah,
we've gone a
and
little late.
Full disclosure, I have not played Mal'Ganis, but I have played against Mal'Ganis quite a bit. So
That's an experience in itself.
yeah,
Make no
so
mistake.
yeah, so my knowledge of the character's inner workings are limited, but I definitely know how to kick his ass. So
there you go. Okay. I feel like that's what most people need to know anyway. So yeah,
it's true.
That's good.
It's true, especially because there wasn't a balance patch today.
Right. When there
Yes.
maybe could have needed one.
Yeah. So, Mal'Ganis, good old turtle, the Nethrazim Lord, latest warrior to enter the game. If you guys have been playing mostly draft or ranked play, you probably haven't seen him that often. If you're playing quick match, you've probably seen him a lot. The big old dude going around sucking up all your health, turning into friggin' bats. You can't kill him. But
Nope.
I think you just covered the whole hero.
Yep, that's
Segment is over.
that's all you need. So
Bats.
we'll go through his stuff here real quick. His trait, of course, is Vampiric Touch. Mal'Ganis heals for 45% of damage dealt to enemy heroes and 15% of damage dealt to non-heroes. His abilities, his Q is Fell Claws. On an 8-second cooldown, violently slash. You don't just slash, it's violent. In the chosen direction, dealing 72 damage to enemies, reactivate slash up to 2 more times. The third slash stuns enemies for 0.75 seconds. I had to look at my keyboard. That was really weird. His W, that's the key that this one is. Also on an 8-second cooldown is Necrotic Embrace. You desecrate the air, not defecate, desecrate the air, dealing 110 damage to nearby enemies and gaining 25 armor for 3 seconds. And then his E, Night Rush, on a 16-second cooldown. After 0.75 seconds, gain 50% movement speed for 2 seconds. While activated, Mal'Ganis can move through enemy heroes and put them to sleep for 2.5 seconds. TBK, if you want to take us through the heroics.
My favorite, Bats, otherwise known as Carrion Swarm, on an 80-second cooldown, and after 1 second, you disperse into an invulnerable swarm of bats for 3 seconds, dealing 132 damage per second to enemies. Vampiric Touch heals for 100% of Carrion Swarm's damage to heroes. And then Dark Conversion. On an 80-second cooldown, you channel on an enemy hero for 0.75 seconds, then swap health percentages with the target over 3 seconds.
Yes. Still a really cool ability. I really like it, but I have succumbed to the bats.
Oh, yes.
And anytime you say bats and are talking about Mal'Ganis, you got to put a Y in there. It's bats.
Bats. Yeah.
Bats. Yep.
All right.
The reasons why are complicated. Just go with it.
It's science. That's why.
Yes.
Level 1, multi. What are we going to be going with? And this is like a self-sustained build, I guess, is the best way to describe this.
Yeah, for sure. So this one we're going to go with Time to Feed, which is Mal'Ganis heals for 48 when damaging nearby hero, and then this can only occur once every 6 seconds and against each enemy hero. So it's just additional sustain, honestly. I mean, when he already gets some healing out of his trait, as well as everything else, it's really very, very solid. I mean, it's honestly, when you look at the pick rates on HeroesHearth across the different talents at 1, it's pretty good spread. I mean, we've got the highest in Time to Feed, but I'm looking at a few others here. I did take Winged Guard or Winged Guard. I don't know. Should I say Winged? I don't know. Whatever. When I was up against a team that had a lot of basic attackers, and I thought that was awesome. That's the thing that's kind of like block, but it's where like each time Necrotic Embrace hits an enemy hero, you gain 50 physical armor against the next basic attack, and then you get charges of that too. So yeah, it's a good talent tier. I mean, they're all kind of defensive in nature here, and but yeah, I like Time to Feed as well.
Yep.
Any other input from you guys?
I've gone Vampiric Aura occasionally in quick match when you don't know what you're going to get if in melee heavy groups, because that one, Mal'Ganis and nearby allied heroes heal for 10% of physical damage dealt. So
That's true.
Just kind of helps if you're all bunched up there. But I think the way to go in an ideal comp is definitely Time to Feed. Also, shout out, this build is for Coffee, because from playing with him earlier, I found out he loves Mal'Ganis very, very much so. So this one's for you. Level 4, TBK. What are we going with?
We're going with Fueled by Torment. While Necrotic Embrace is active, Mal'Ganis heals for 12 when damage is taken, and Vampiric Touch converts 15% more hero damage into healing. So this one's just great overall, especially for you as a tank. You're getting armor, you're healing when you take damage, and you're healing more when you deal damage. This one is probably the one that's going to get nerfed.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being completely honest with you. But it's very good right now, so take it.
And you want to make sure you're using it correctly to get the most out of it. I see a lot of people queue in to the fight and then use this, and then all you have as far as damage for a few seconds is your auto attacks. So it's best if you can get into the fight before using any of your abilities. Maybe you even use a sleep to engage your E. Get in there, pop this, have your 3 charges of your Q up, get some damage and some extra healing there. But it's definitely a good talent. I really enjoy it. Level 7 here, we are going Will of Tichondrius, where the 3rd slash of Fell Claws steals 4% of maximum health from enemy heroes. So this is obviously his kind of giant killer type thing. Better against teams that have some beefier characters, heavy frontline, great against a Cho'Gall. But yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, it's more sustained too,
Yes, it is very much
that you're stealing the 4%
it's all
max
about
health,
the
not
sustain.
just doing it.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any other shout outs on level 7? I've seen some people talking about Black Claws, where after Mal'Ganis hits an enemy hero with Fell Claws, his next basic attack deals 45% more damage. So kind of turning it into a Q auto attack, Q auto attack, Q auto attack type thing.
I've sometimes done it, but it's a really weird. It makes it really weird, I guess, from a rotation perspective, because the Q does feel like something that you're supposed to chain, and so it can make it either very awkward or you lose a lot of value from it a lot of the time.
Okay.
Depending on the situation.
Yeah, I haven't given that one a shot yet. Full on Grit saying Blind as a Bat makes it a monster pick, which is interesting because I've seen some people that had concerns with Black Claws not matching up with Blind as a Bat because you don't get as much from the 6 seconds. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure on that one. Level 10, multi.
So 10, yeah, we got to turn into a swarm of Biets, no question. Carrion Swarm, because honestly, like, these two heroics have some similarities in the sense that there's a little bit of channel time to get it kicked off, which can be stunned and interrupted. So you kind of like have to deal with that regardless. It's a little bit longer channel time on the Carrion Swarm for sure, by 0.25 seconds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it can be the difference between when they land that stun, But honestly, like, it and Dark Conversion kind of do similar things when you think about it. Like, because if you pop Carrion Swarm when you're already a little bit lower, like at a third health or so, you're damaging the enemy team and healing yourself for 100% of the damage that you've done. So if you get in there and get on a bunch of heroes and get like some good uptime on it, you've kind of done Dark Conversion, really. I mean, you've gone from the lower health bar to the higher one, and you kind of swapped health bars in a sense. It's not done as cleanly as Dark Conversion is, of course. But honestly, like, the other weird thing about Dark Conversion is that when you're Mal'Ganis, you're in there trying to sustain by getting ability damage and stuff in anyway. So it's kind of like, I don't know, if you're already getting pretty low, you should maybe start thinking about getting out instead of falling onto something like that, which also Carrion Swarm can help you do. So I think it's the clear favorite right now.
Hey, I love me some Dark Conversion. I don't take it as much anymore, but I do love it. It's super fun. It's great against Cho'Gall. It's super fun if you can pull it off, diving a tower and somebody comes to rotate on you and you get low health and then switch. Now you have high health and then you kill them.
But it does feel super bad when it doesn't work out.
It does.
And you die.
It does. But Jules, I know you said you've been playing against Mal'Ganis and you know how to counter him. Do you find his wind-up times for both of these abilities easy enough to interrupt that he's telegraphing them? Because I seem to get interrupted a lot on Mal'Ganis.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I mean, the thing about it is I'm normally playing a support player, support hero most of the time. Ana is a killer support counter to that beast of a thing that comes around, and because I don't know how many times, like the first time I played him, that it was just like, I'm slept again. And so you know what I would do? I would shoot him back. I would be like, sleep dart, done. You can't get it. And that was the best. That, you know, and then you're just applying doses, and the DPS comes in. But he's a stinker, and if you don't pay attention, or your front line is not paying attention, he's gonna come in and he's gonna sleep you, and then you're sitting there in comms going, I'm asleep. I'm asleep.
Oh, right.
I'm asleep. He's a bat. Oh, no.
He's a bat. And so my feeling, though, is that you have to be super careful, because if you're a mainly frontline, melee comp that you're playing, he's going to run your face over. He is. It's just, it sucks. It's just kind of how it is. So, but you play quick match. You don't know what kind of comp you're getting. Like that's what was happening to me, because then they just ban him out in Hero League or Team League, and then you don't play against him. So just ban him out. That's your strat.
Okay. Speaking of sleeps here, TBK, what are we going to be going with at 13?
So at 13, we are going to go with deep sleep, because regular sleep is just not good enough. It increases Night Rush's sleep duration by 0.75 seconds, and it gives you an extra 10% movement speed bonus, which is super, super handy, because even though you get the movement speed bonus when you're doing Night Rush, you have to channel wind it up. And so if you're trying to chase somebody down with it, it's sometimes kind of hard to catch them back up after the channel time, depending on how far away from you they were. So this can give you that little bit of extra speed you need to channel it and then get caught up, sleep them, body block them, kill them.
Yep. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think one of the nerfs we're going to see is to sleep time overall. Like, I think the raw 2.5 is too much.
Yeah.
And then you add anything to it, and you're just getting into crazy town. So
it feels like forever.
It feels like an Arcane Rift from Medivh or something, you know? Like, you're just getting set up for stuff.
2.5 seconds potential sleep on what, a 13-second cooldown? I mean, 2.5 seconds is over half the time that Deckard Cain's ult is. Because his is 4 seconds, I believe.
16-second cooldown, and it's not that hard to get off either, really.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, that 10% speed boost from this talent helps quite a bit, but even naturally, like, you can sneak up on people and do it out of a bush, and there's just also much stuff you can do.
Yeah,
very much a stinker.
I mean, I like all the talents on this tier. Blood Rush is cool. When Mal'Ganis is healed, he gains 1% movement speed for 8 seconds, up to 15%. And then I also do like the Night Beckons, where after Night Rush's sleep ends, targets are slowed by 30% for 2.5 seconds. Yes, it's, you know, it doesn't make it as easy to catch up to people as Deep Sleep does. But if you're using it as an opener, like if you're hiding in a bush or something, I find, you know, sleep is still one of those CCs that it tends to get interrupted before you want it to. So people are then out of it, but then they have the 30% slow for 2.5 seconds. So still allows you to get some positioning in on them. And I think it works out pretty well sometimes. Level 16 here. TBK, you put situational. I don't care if you put situational, because obviously there's only one answer on this tier, and that is blind as a freaking Bizat. Which I love that it's blind as a Bizat here, because isn't it just blind as a bat?
Yeah, that was Workhorse that did that on
he did the right
HeroesHearth.
Yeah, clearly the right thing. Clearly.
Freaking hilarious, by the way. I think it's like the funniest thing he did with that.
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to shout out Blind as a Bat, because it's the coolest talent in the entire game, which you probably know what it is, but just in case you don't, it's an activatable on 80-second cooldown. You erupt with Blind Rage, removing cooldown and mana cost of Fell Claws, but lose all vision, and it lasts for 6 seconds. So, super cool ability. It's great. It's fun. Again, if you use it, you should use it whenever you know the positioning of the other team. That way you know the direction to go into. You can pay attention to the numbers popping up on your screen to see if you're hitting somebody. Or if you're in voice chat, you may have somebody in your chat telling you, like, go left, go right, go up, go down, Marco, Polo. Or you can use it as an escape. But it's just really cool. And TBK, I'll let you talk about the other 216 talents because I've never taken them and I never will.
I honestly take blind as a bat or a bat, blind as a bat, most of the time, unless I'm solo tanking, because when I'm solo tanking with Mal'Ganis, I need to be able to see to peel for people, because otherwise your DPS gets super mad when you're over at the top of the screen clawing the air like crazy while the back line is just getting completely trounced. So Plague Bats is a good choice for that. It just gives you extra damage in a kind of a cone in front of you whenever you do your Necrotic Embrace. And then Frenzied Assault is actually really interesting because basic attacks against heroes with a higher health percentage than you grant 40% attack speed and 10% increased physical damage for 3 seconds. And that can actually add up to a lot of healing. So that's, as a main tank, that is what I'll usually take.
I will say this. There is a true personality profile going on right in front of our eyes. You've got Gizmo, who's like, I will never take anything but blind as bat. And then there's TBK, who's like, I feel that I need to see all of my team and make sure that I am being a proper tank. Like, it is a personality profile that we are seeing right here.
You don't need to see them when they're dead.
Tank.
You don't need to see them when they're dead.
See, and like Gizmo is, if you know Gizmo, he is the kind of YOLO guy. I mean, not like YOLO in complete life, but he's just like, I am going full aggro, and TBK is, I feel I should be a little bit more conservative.
Yeah. Gizmo would main Leroy Jenkins.
I would.
Yes, he
probably
would.
Yeah,
I would.
Probably. Yep.
Just a side note, I thought that was pretty.
And I'm gonna main Orphea, so I mean it all balances out.
Yes.
Yep.
And see, I only choose the correct choices, and my choice is blind as a bizat.
Yeah.
Multi is taking the Gizmo track.
That's right.
All right, and level 20 here we'll go to Multi.
Oh, you want another correct choice?
I do.
We're actually calling out a couple of them here. So we've got Seeker Swarm. You've got on this TBK. I got some questions on that one. But upon expiring, Carrion Swarms, Bats, seek nearby enemy heroes and deal extra damage and sleep them for 2.5 seconds. So I could see it for the sleep. But then the other one we want to call out, of course, is Vanquish the Weak, which has the higher pick rate generally. Damage from Fell Claws and basic attacks slows enemies by 15% for 1.5 seconds. And then Vampiric Touch converts 10% more damage into healing versus slowed heroes, the ones that you just slowed. So yeah, I mean, obviously that's the kind of thing where you would just get value anytime. I mean, the Q is on such a short cooldown, and then you just do basic attacks, right? So I think that's kind of the pick for me, just because it's a power spike that late in the game that you kind of need on a hero that you need to sustain on. But extra CC out of that sleep from Seeker Swarm, I've not tried it yet. TBK, have you messed with it?
Well, it's not only extra CC, it's damage as well. And so I have seen a team get wrecked by that thing because Mal'Ganis jumps into bat form. He goes, sucks health from people, and then as soon as he comes, all of a sudden these bats are just flying out everywhere. Everyone's asleep, and then you just boom, you can blow up one or two people.
With stuff,
yeah. And at level 20, any kill is a really big deal because you're talking 50+ second death timers.
I see, looking at the two, Seeker Swarm being the more team league in comms to get the most out of it. That way you can talk about what targets you're going to be picking off instead of everybody waking everyone up. And if you don't have any communication, Vanquish the Weak, because as you said, at 20 any death is a big deal, so Vanquish the Weak giving you some more not only CC but survivability, potentially being pretty good there, if I'm reading it correctly, which I am. Duh.
Yep.
No. But yeah, if you guys haven't had a chance to play Mal'Ganis yet, He seems to be one of these characters people love or hate. I would say the most similar comparison we've had as far as a hero release would be Garrosh, because he seems to be really strong, which is why people hate him. Of course, he's being banned all the time right now. But the weird conversation around him is whether he is a main tank or an off tank, and it seems to be split pretty evenly, which I find really interesting. And I think that's a good thing.
It'll be really interesting once he hits HGC.
Yeah, after some
to see
nerfs.
how the tank players, and maybe after some nerfs, if they nerf the damage a little bit, maybe tweak up some of the other talents, maybe that pushes him even more towards the main tank role.
Could be.
Because if he loses really any more damage, that'll really put his off lane ability in jeopardy just from a wave clear perspective.
Yeah. But Jules, what's biggest counter to him right now? If you are going up against the Mal'Ganis and you know it, which you don't because you're in quick match, but if you had a choice, who are you taking?
I mean, everybody's saying pick Ana against him because of the sleeps and the all of that kind of thing you can do. I watched him up against Azul, and Azul could be very interesting in that situation, but it was hard to tell if he could be affected by the mobility issues. So, yeah, I don't know. There were not very many people who could just show off a counter. The healer, I mean, I was playing the healer side, so it was definitely Ana. He was destroying me on Deckard Cain. So, like, I could not, unless my tanks were not in the good spots of me being blocked in, I was dead. I was like, there's no way. But I don't think a lot of people in the world of quick match really get his full potential. They don't really understand his full potential yet. And so there was a lot of kind of the fumbling through that as well. That's what I've seen. That's what I've heard. But I still call him busted.
Yeah.
He's busted.
Yeah. I mean, he's one, and I think I've mentioned it before, one of the people I find that is really good against him is Diablo. Just for the fact that you can interrupt so much of his stuff between your Q and your E, and potentially even your second E. APOC can mess him up quite a bit, and just healing off of the amount of sustain Diablo has now can keep up with him quite a bit. And so I've always found, at least when I'm up against a decent Diablo, it makes for a really sucky Mal'Ganis game. Yeah. But like you said, it looks like he is probably a little on the too strong side. He's actually sitting at the top of Hotslogs right now with a 58% win rate.
I was going to ask what his win rate was, because that's going to nerf that down. We should have had the balance patch come through today. Right? It should, like, if it were to come, it would have been like today or tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like there's something big happening lately that they just couldn't work on a balance patch for. I don't know why. Stop slacking, Blizzard. Jeez.
He is definitely going to get a chunk of the nerf bat, though. I mean, I can't see how he couldn't, because 58%, this Faded Music said in the chat room, is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I can see Diablo being real strong against him as far as the warrior and then Ana's support. There are a lot of characters or heroes out there now that have the whole, reduce healing, which seems to be strong. Ana, of course, has that, but her bonuses as well is she can get the boosted healing on her front line at the same time, potentially, and then also having that ranged sleep seems to be pretty nice. So.
Another really good healer versus him is actually Malfurion, because Malfurion will mess him up with the root.
Yeah.
Because if you get rooted, you can't Q, you can't E. So that roots really mess him up, and plus you can get the health reduction from the roots on Malfurion as well. So I've actually found that was a really annoying healer to play against too.
Huh. Interesting.
I can see that.
Good to know. But we'll keep our eye on them. See whenever the balance patch comes out. I wouldn't imagine it being next week at BlizzCon or the week right before BlizzCon, but I guess you never
probably
know.
get a balance patch
after.
the week after, I would assume.
Yeah. So
especially since Mal'Ganis is not in play for HGC, and other than quick match, there's 3 bans, and so he can be covered. I mean, just looking at HOTS logs, it's like 2,800 games played and 16,000 games banned.
Yeah,
to give you an idea of how often he gets to be played in rank right now.
And again, what's his win rate though when he does get played?
58. So
pretty good.
The lesson, until the changes come or the balance comes, just keep banning him.
Right, and if you play him, just learn your limits on that hero and learn that you don't have any. Just kill everyone.
just go blind as a bat and kill away. But yeah, so that is Sir Mal'Ganis, the turtle, who I haven't actually heard that voice line yet, but I've heard people say, does he actually say when he comes back, I am a turtle?
No. So he's saying I am eternal, but it's actually at the very end of his trailer as well, the first look that we saw in Heroes, but it's also the Hearthstone card. He comes out and he's like, I am Mal'Ganis, I am eternal.
I'm a turtle.
So, it comes up like, I am a turtle.
I heard people say they actually made it I am a turtle, though, for Heroes of the Storm.
They may have. I actually tweeted out at them. You may have seen that in my tweet. I tried to tweet my boy Kevin, see if I could get an answer on that one from the trailer there, but haven't heard back yet. So I don't know.
If he doesn't get some sort of, like, for next Halloween or something, a turtle skin to where he's just wearing, like, a big old shell, I don't know what else you would do with him, because there's nothing about his silhouette that would make you think he's a turtle.
I disagree. His shoulder pads are green and kind of shell-like.
He could be a snapping turtle, I guess.
Perfect cosplay for BlizzCon.
Yeah.
Perfect.
A turtle Mal'Ganis. That's fantastic.
If it wasn't just over a week away, I would make it really horrible.
Just go grab like a Ninja Turtles costume real fast and wear a sign that says I am Mal'Ganis.
Yes.
I am a turtle.
That's called budget cosplay.
That
is doable.
Gonna run to the party store right down my street tomorrow. I'm home from work. We can all go as Mal'Ganis. Let's move on. We got a little bit left here. TBK community content. What do you got this week?
I have some super sweet stuff, especially for the chat, because you'll be able to look at these right away. But of course, for audio listeners, you can go check these out, lordsofthestorm.libsyn.com, and check the show notes. And it'll also be on the Heroes Hearth blog for the new episode to see all the links to these. But first off, we have an incredibly cool Tracer skin, Time Traveler Tracer. Really, really cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like steampunk /
steampunk-esque.
Something else.
I don't know why I'm getting a Doctor Who vibe off this.
Yeah, for sure.
Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, very much so. But it is super cool. I would totally buy that. Definitely check that out.
In either game, yeah.
Yeah, in either game. Next, we have something that we have a hero who needs more skins so badly. We have a really cool Ragnaros concept. And this is a Frost Lord Ragnaros. And like a big avalanche for his lava wave. And he looks really cool and icy. And yeah,
it's actually a Hoon who is the Frost Lord.
Yep.
It's another elemental lord.
Yep. We need new Ragnaros skins. Real bad.
I'm still in favor of the actual like Ragnaros skin, and he is a milk elemental.
Yes.
And
there's so many good concepts.
Has a giant spoon instead of the mace.
Yeah, instead of the sulfurous. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, heck, we commissioned a Mecha Ragnaros skin for one of our Lords of the Storm community art things we did. And you can actually go to Heroes Hearth to my blog, and you just have to scroll back a little bit, but you can see all I wrote up a lore piece for it. There's a ton of concept art for Mecha Ragnaros. There's in-game renders, like Noah Warner, who did the art for that, did an amazing job. So definitely go check that out. Maybe I'll link that in chat here as well afterwards, but you can check it out there. Next, we have Star Child Lunara. And this is really cool. It's got kind of like an African vibe to it. Really, really neat. Glowy effects in the hair. Lots of like jewelry, like zebra type skin almost on the
legs. Yeah,
on the legs. Very, very cool. Yeah, it's a neat one. Like we have so many awesome people doing skin art. It's incredible. And then finally for the last skin, since this is just a very skin focused community content shout out, Valera Shadow of the Desert. And this is like almost like a desert raider Valera with Cloak of Shadows and Smoke Bomb being a sandstorm, and the cool, like, you can't see the face, you just see the green glowing eyes and the coming out from where the bandana is covering most of the face, these scythe like blades and wispy desert sand hair and outfit. Looks amazing.
Yeah,
it's
down.
It reminds me of what are the people from Zelda? It doesn't look anything like it, but it starts with an S.
Blanking on that. It reminds me of Jawas from Star Wars.
Okay, yeah, that works too.
Yeah, really, really, really cool. And then finally, made in the Source filmmaker, a Heroes of the Storm cinematic short called Heroes of the Storm Invasion. It plays like a movie trailer, and it is incredibly well done and super cool. It needs more views because, holy crap, someone put in a lot of work. So I'll have the link to that in the show notes. I don't want to spoil anything because it's just something you need to watch. So definitely check that one out because it's really cool.
All right. The last thing we have before we get out of here, we had posted in our Discord, of course, some listener BlizzCon hopes. I don't know if Multi or TBK want to read a few of those off. We mentioned a lot of them already in our BlizzCon talks.
I don't know.
Or did we mention most of them?
I think we mentioned a good chunk. Okay. Maybe not by name, but we've covered a lot this episode.
Perfect.
We've covered a large chunk of them. Deathwing, new HOTS game director, what their vision is for HOTS. Saw a lot of PvE content. Please give us PvE content. And I have to say, yes. Yes and yes.
Yes.
Yep. API, better group finding system, all these good things. So
yeah, performance-based matchmaking. I would love to hear something about the API. It's been a while. I think I would like them to put in a little time and just like finish that, or at least some, even if it was just like a basic version of it, release it to the public and then just slowly add features to it over time. But at least get it out there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get out of here, Multi, why don't you let people know where we can be reached?
Well, we got to thank Jules first for joining us, right?
Well, I was.
Or were you going to save that for the end?
I mean, I was going to.
Okay, I'll do the thing.
We can do it both.
we can do it both
places.
Yes. All right. First of all, I'd like to thank Jules Scott for joining us today. Thank you, Jules.
It was my pleasure.
That's excellent. And then after that, you can find us on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and Patreon, although there's a little change on the Twitch there. I'd recommend instead going to maybe twitch.tv/HeroesHearth for Wednesdays live at 9 p.m. Central, capping off the Wednesdays on the stream. But, we will still I guess, hosted on our own channel, of course. But Patreon, if anyone wants to check that out, that is patreon.com/Lords of the Storm. And again, any amount that you're able to give helps us out, but it's not a big deal either way. We're going to keep doing our thing regardless. But you can find us in game too by typing /join space LOTS, or you can join us on our Discord anyway, Lots Discord. That is bit.ly/Lots Discord. Although, check out the Heroes Hearth one as well while you're at it. You can email us with feedback or questions, lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And if you've got an extra second and maybe an iTunes account specifically, leaving a review can be a huge help to us as well. So, yeah, you don't even have to write anything. Just drop some stars and let us know what you think.
All the stars. You can also find us individually, myself on Twitter, Twitch @Gizmozord, as well as occasionally on Convert to Raid Presents Battle.net News, the Blizzard show about all things Blizzard, because it's the Battle.net News. That's what it is. Multi, where can you be found?
I'm on Twitter @Multizord, and also on another show called Hearth Casual, which is about Hearthstone. And we're doing a full episode this week. It's going to be the pre-BlizzCon hype one. You kind of already heard my guess, but, there's going to be more than just that.
Going to be more. TBK, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter @TBKzord and on Heroes Hearth, where I write blogs, interviews, map concepts, and I've actually got a new article that should be coming out either tomorrow or Friday that is kind of an expanded discussion on the reporting system and the commendation system, kind of taking a little bit from the discussion that we talked about last week.
Excellent.
I think you should release it next Friday because it's going to be a really slow news week.
Yeah.
That's true. I should save it.
Okay.
And then, Jules, thank you so much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure. Why don't you tell everyone all the places that you can be reached?
Well, thank you for having me. It was a blast, and you can find my Heroes content. I do a show called Heroes News with Jules Scott, and a new episode is publishing tomorrow morning with Kendrick Swish as my interview. So you can check that out. It's Heroes News, all one word, with Jules Scott on all the favorite podcatchers. And we also publish a blog on HeroesHearth.com every time it comes out. You can find me on Twitter @JulesRPG, and you can find my profile on HeroesHearth.com under JulesRPG. You can also find me on other podcasts like Torrent Think Tank, Esports Daily, and the E-League Report. So that is my that's my bio. That's where you find me. But HeroesHearth.com. Go there. It's awesome. We love them.
Yes, we do. So we do want to give a very special thanks to everyone in the Heroes Hearth family for welcoming us and allowing us to close out the Heroes Hearth Entertainment Wednesdays. So again, thank you to Jules, Kyberry's Workhorse, everyone over at Heroes Hearth. It's an absolute pleasure. And then we also want to give a special thanks to our patron producer, Ouroborosword, for helping support the show. That's going to do it for this week. It's just a short episode, Sorry it wasn't longer, guys. Apologies. But BlizzCon next week. We're excited to see some of you there. Again, if you see us, come up, say hi. Till then, we will see you same time, same place next week. Twitch.tv/HeroesHearth, 9 p.m. Central. Have a good one, everyone.
Enough. I shall do no more.